Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Julian narrowed his eyes. Just take a guess. Fine. Candies, he said. Jesse's nose scrunched up. How did you get that right on the first try? She thumped his chest lightly. He burst into laughter. That was just a random guess. He never expected to hit the mark, but he did. He pulled her into his embrace and kissed her cheek. All right, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have guessed it. He's so sweet. She loved that he was apologizing for something this trivial. It meant he cared about her feelings. He pushed her head closer to his chest, and she leaned into his embrace, enjoying the scent of flowers brought in by the gentle breeze. So, this is what bliss feels like. Jesse sighed. We can see the Milky Way from here, and there's the moon up there. It feels like I'm in a painting. Bliss, at least to Julian, was to have whatever he loved. He caressed her hair softly. Yeah. And I'm feeling blessed to have you beside me, too. Right then, someone on the boat out on the ocean started the fireworks. A delighted Jesse hugged him tightly. The fireworks are starting. He happily wrapped his arm around her and watched the fireworks show with her. It went on for half an hour, and most of the fireworks would create different shapes and patterns after they went off. Eventually, they got tired from standing up for too long, so Julian took her to an open-air coffee shop to continue watching. He could watch the fireworks, have a cup of coffee, and date the woman he loved. A candle burned before them, and roses surrounded the table. What bliss! On the other side of the field, Willow was riding on her father's back, watching the fireworks happily. She would start to gurgle from time to time. Anastasia, on the other hand, leaned on her son. He's grown so tall. I'm so proud of him. The newlyweds were also enjoying the fireworks. Queenie rested her head on Nigel's shoulder. We're married now. He's the one I'm spending my whole life with. Eventually, the fireworks came to an end, but everyone wanted more. Yet, that was not to be. It was getting late, and the older guests needed their rest. The young ones, however, could stay up and have more fun. Jessie wondered where Julian was taking her. Eventually, they came to the port, and a yacht was waiting on the sea. She froze for a few moments. Oh, right. He did say we were going out to the sea. They got onto the yacht and sped toward the moon hanging over the horizon. Eventually, they came to a stop in the middle of the ocean. The couple had some wine and enjoyed the view of the sea. Just the sight of it carried all their worries away, washing them into the depths of the ocean. Julian held Jessie in his embrace. Do you like this? She nodded in approval. I love it. He kissed her ear, and it triggered something in her. She turned around and held his face before leaning in and kissing him. It was a deep, passionate, and beautiful kiss. Even the air had turned hot and heavy from the intensity of their kiss. However, they pressed on. It wasn't until Jessie felt herself perspiring did she let Julian go. Julian was sweating as well, but he couldn't help but tease, "What's wrong? You're sweating. It's hot." She fanned herself with her hand. Don't you feel anything? He felt it, all right. Everything inside him was screaming and begging him to give them some release. We should have some water. He entered the cabin and got her a glass of warm water while he gulped down a bottle of cold water. Wow, he's gulping it down. As she was worried, she said, "Slow down. You're going to catch a cold at this rate." He choked on himself and coughed. Awkwardly, he asked, "How did you know I was down with a cold last time? Because I drank too much cold stuff." That's not the only reason. You took an ice-cold shower, too, didn't you? Jessie smirked. I'm not a kid, you know. I'm an adult now. I know a lot of stuff. Julian kept quiet for a few moments before he broke into a smile. So, you know everything, I take it? She cocked her eyebrow. Of course. Without shame, he asked, so, tell me, why did I take the cold shower? Her cheeks lit up when she heard his question. She bit her lip and hung her head low sheepishly. You can't expect me to go into detail. If you're not saying, then we might need to be a bit more hands-on with our approach. He wiggled his eyebrows. If there were a hole somewhere, Jessie would have buried herself in it. I can't believe they call this guy innocent. His fans think he's an honest-to-goodness saint and that he's not interested in anything lewd. If only they could see the current him. If she had the chance, she would tell the fans they got it all wrong. He's a perv, through and through. And he even knows how to talk dirty. Perv. She clicked her tongue, but in all honesty, she loved this. Julian's fans would have killed to have a chance to date him, yet all Julian cared about was Jessie. All he wanted to do was flirt with her, make out with her, and eventually gobble her all up like she was a nice little meal. He stopped teasing her after that, and she asked him to take some pictures. This was the couple's privilege. He would do anything to take the best pictures of her. A few hundred photos later, Jessie found herself going through each and every one of the photos, smiling at the sight of them. And then, it was her turn to take his photos. He was handsome, and the shadows hung over his eyes, making his eyelashes look longer than usual. He's so hot. It was already 2:00 a.m. when they came back. A drizzle fell, covering the island in a layer of humidity. They got into a car and headed to her villa. Since Jessie was staying with her parents, she couldn't make out with Julian too much, and she went to her room soon after. Still, it was a memorable night. Many years down the road, she would remember this night and it would make her smile. Back in Averna, Eva fell asleep in Louis's arms. Louis was still awake and his eyes trained on her. He refused to shift his gaze, for she was his whole world. Wonder whom our first child will take after. But I bet they'll be cute. A smile curled his lips, and he pecked her cheek before he finally fell asleep. The couples were fast asleep, but there was someone who was still wide awake. The lights in Lucy's room were still on. She was on her couch, holding a magazine and staring at the photo of a certain man. It was one of the rare shots anyone had of Louis. In that photo, he was sitting on a regal couch with his legs crossed. He gleamed like the most beautiful diamond in the world, and his eyes shone like obsidian. Behind those eyes resided the wisdom of Solomon. She was addicted to him as a junkie would toward substances. She had seen this photo countless times, yet she didn't find the photo any less appealing. If she could, she would have married Louis right away. Yet, he's sleeping with another woman right now. Most women would kill to sleep with him. And now, I have an arrangement that can legally make me his wife. I'm not going to let this chance slip by. Lucy's father told her that Louis had control of that plot of land their family wanted to invest in. Louis had proposed an exchange. The arranged marriage's cancellation for his plot of land. It was an enticing offer, and her father brought it up with her. He would like to see what she thought of it. However, she wouldn't agree to it. Lucy couldn't care less about that plot of land, not when her marriage was at stake. She would never let her father agree to the deal, and Louis was someone who cared for nothing but profit, or so she thought. I know him. Everything he does for profit. He only likes Eva for her looks. If she loses that, he won't stay with her anymore. When it comes to that, he'll never let go of his shares for a woman who has lost the only trait he likes. Maybe he'll agree to the marriage then, and I can finally be his wife, staying with him forever. I might get to enjoy all the perks of marrying him. She looked at his photo once more, the sight of it stoking the flames of desire within her. Just a look at his photo was enough to make her shiver. "I won't let anyone else take you," she muttered. Most of the guests were already leaving the day after the wedding. The Presgraves were among them. It had been 4 days since they came to the island, and Jared had school to attend. Nigel and Queenie sent them off after breakfast. Before they parted ways, Anastasia told Queenie to call if she needed anything. Anastasia was a mother of 2. She knew how to handle most problems that would arise during pregnancy. "Of course, Anastasia," Queenie said gently. "We're a family now. You and Nigel should come and visit us when you have time." Nigel was playing with Willow. The girl even kissed him, much to his delight. "Oh, we'll visit you a lot," he said. He then looked at Jared. "Whoa, Jared's tall now. Bet he'll be 6 feet tall in a few years. Time flies, huh?" Jared held Nigel's hand and looked at him with anticipation in his eyes. "Can I have your gaming system, Uncle Nigel? You won't give up until I say yes, huh?" "Fine, you can take it." Nigel's focus was on his wife now. He lost interest in games, so Jared could have his gaming gear. Anastasia said, "It's fine to play games, but remember not to neglect your studies, Jared." Elliot didn't mind Jared playing games. He was confident his boy had enough discipline to control himself. "And this is good for discipline training." "Don't worry, Mom. 2 hours on the weekend. That's all." The newlyweds saw them off and returned to their villa. They were going to stay for a few more days. It was a nice place. Fresh air and a quiet environment. It was a perfect place for a pregnant woman. Eventually, Julian and Jessie had to leave as well. They, too, had work to do. After saying their goodbyes, they hopped onto the helicopter and enjoyed the sea view as the chopper flew across the air. It was 3:00 p.m. when they returned to Averna. Julian asked Louis and Eva out for dinner, and Jessie went with him. Her parents were still on the island, so she had the freedom to do whatever she wanted. "Why don't you stay at my place tonight?" Julian suggested. She nodded. "If you want me to, then sure." "Of course, I want you." He chuckled. "I'd love for you to stay." "Not up to anything cheeky, I hope." She could see right through him. "Nope," he denied. "Not like you can do anything about it once we get home." Jessie shrugged it off. Eva had called her, inviting her over for dinner. The Gilmore brothers met up at 6:00 p.m., bringing their partners along. This meeting was a cheery one, and the ladies became good friends. It was only a matter of time before they became family. That fact was not lost on the Gilmore brothers either. They took great care of the ladies throughout dinner. And then, they parted ways at 8:30 p.m. Jessie followed Julian home, and Lexi had already made sure Jessie's suitcase was sent to the house. Before she left, Lexi inched closer to Jessie's ear and whispered, "Hey, Jessie, I got you 2 sets of pajamas. Make sure to use them tonight." "Wait, what?" Jessie was confused for a second before she was reminded of the days she spent with Lexi. Lexi's kind of a perv, too. "But I'm not. I might be able to talk dirty, but I'm not one for actions." Jessie had seen Julian's house once. She thought his house's decor was simple, stylish, and manly. She loved it. The simplicity caught her attention, and the French window was set at the one place where they could see the best of Averna. While she was enjoying the view, Julian handed her a glass of water. "Here, have a glass of water." She took it and asked sheepishly, "So, where am I going to sleep tonight?" "I have 1 master bedroom and 5 guest rooms." "Make your pick," he said. She pursed her lips as she mused over her choice, but then he smirked. "The master bedroom is on the list as well, you know." His comment made her blush. "I'm not going to sleep in the same room as you." Make your pick, then, said Julian. Jessie then went around his house. It was a duplex measuring about 1,000 square meters. She went upstairs and looked outside the French window. The view is so beautiful here. She looked around the bedrooms and kept walking down until she came to a bedroom decked out with a suite and a mini living space. Curious, she entered the room and had a look. And then, she entered the closet room. Glass cabinets stood inside, which held nothing but men's suits. Also, she saw a watch inside. This can't be the master bedroom, can it? She blinked. Someone opened the door, and it made her leap with a start. Julian was holding his jacket. He noticed her in his bedroom, and he chuckled. So, you've made your choice, I see. This is your bedroom? Jessie felt a bit awkward. His house is big. Too big. Yes. He nodded in affirmative. Sheepishly, she said, No, I was just looking around. Not going to take your room. She didn't leave right away, though. She went around for another look. The room was painted gray, and the French window in his room almost showed the full scenery of Averna. Our taste in aesthetics matches. Gosh, you have a beautiful house, she praised. You can stay for a bit if you want, he purred. Jessie would love that. Really? She turned around to look at him. Yeah. We don't have to go back to work right away. Stay around and have fun. A smile tugged at his lips. If this were a cartoon show, the shadow of Julian would have a tail slowly swaying behind him. He looked like a wolf trying to trick Little Red Riding Hood into getting eaten. Sure. She wanted to stay at his home as well. It'd be a blast. She kept looking around his house, and Julian followed. Eventually, she came to the cinema room. God, I must watch a movie here. Anticipation filled her heart as she made a mental note to herself. A tour around the house showed her a gym room, a kitchen on the second floor, and there was even a bar counter. Finally, Jessie picked the bedroom closest to Julian's, and Julian came back with her suitcase. When she realized it was already 11 p.m., she said, You must be tired. Get some rest. Holler at me if you need anything. A smile curled Julian's lips, and he left. I am not going to holler at you. Jessie opened her suitcase, and the first thing she saw was the sets of pajamas Lexi had prepared for her. One was pink, while the other was purple, and both were almost transparent. She held them up, thinking, Can you even call these pajamas? Wonder where she got these. Jessie wanted to take a shower, but she couldn't find her normal pajamas. Lexi. Jessie gasped. Why did you take my normal pajamas away? What are you doing? Oh my God. Are these the only ones I have now? Man, I might have to hire another assistant. Darn you, Lexi. I bet she's laughing her socks off right now. Jessie wanted to scream, but she had no choice. In the end, she picked the purple lace pajamas. At least it looked slightly more modest compared to the pink one. She finished showering and came out wearing the purple silk nightdress. She felt shy, but she thought the night dress showed off her curves perfectly. Good thing I'm alone here. It'd be embarrassing if someone else were here. It's really quiet though. Something's missing. Oh, right. My phone. She was used to the sounds of text notifications coming from her phone, but that was missing right now. It was then she realized her phone was in the living room. Should I go out right now? I'm in a nightdress. I wonder if Julian's in his room. Jessie was having an internal struggle, but it's already late. He must be in his room by now. She opened the door slightly to take a look, but before she could even look around, she saw Julian standing before her door. He was wearing a black silk robe, and in his hand was her bag. Apparently, he was planning on giving her bag back. Jessie took a deep breath, wondering which part of her she should cover. Julian was staring in earnest as well. "Oh, that's a nice night dress. Just what I like." In the end, she thought she should cover her chest, so she put an arm over her breasts. Shyly, she said, "Can I have my bag?" Julian handed the bag over to her. "Here you go." Jessie kept her eyes on the bag, ready to dart out of her room to take it and dart back and right away, but just as she grabbed the bag, Julian tugged on it and pulled her into his embrace. Oh gosh. I fell for it. However, she didn't mind. She was fine with getting tricked as long as the trickster was Julian. She closed her eyes, leaning on his chest. "So naughty," she whispered. Julian placed the bag on her chest and carried her in his arms. "The main bedroom is big enough for the two of us. You can sleep there." Sure, Jessie stammered. She was willing to share a room with him. After all, he was her lover, and lovers were supposed to share the same bed. Besides, Queenie's going to be a mother soon, and I'm going to be 25 in November. I should start thinking about raising a family now. Moreover, my boyfriend is the man of my dreams, she told herself. Jessie caught a whiff of his scent and prepared herself. Anything that happens tonight, happens. She finally accepted her fate and leaned cozily in his embrace. Julian put her down on the bed gently, and a smile tugged at his lips. "Sleep." "Wait. You're staying up?" "Yeah. I can't sleep, so I texted a few friends. We're going to play some video games," Julian chuckled. Jessie sat up and held his arm. "I'm more important than your games. You're not leaving." Huh. Julian just wanted an excuse to leave. If he stayed around for any longer, he might let his inner beast loose. "So, you want me to stay?" Hoarsely, he asked, "You do know what that means, right?" Jessie pursed her lips. It embarrassed her to say this, but still, she mustered the courage to speak. "I know. I'm not a kid anymore." Julian gulped. He leaned down and held her hands above her head. "You won't regret this?" "I won't." She stared right back at him. "I won't regret this." "Why are you doing this?" he asked huskily. "Because of love?" "I don't want to force her. I don't want you to come down with another cold." Enough with the cold water and shower. That was the only excuse she could come up with at the time. But that was enough for Julian, enough for him to see that she loved him. He turned the night lights off, plunging the room into darkness. The only sources of light came from the moon and the twinkling stars outside. The air was turning hot and heavy at a blistering rate, and the only sound that pierced through the air was Julian's labored breathing. It felt like his breath was made of fire. Dawn came. Rays of sunshine filtered through the window and into the room, shining on the couple who were sleeping in each other's embrace on the gray bed. Julian's chin rested on Jessie's forehead, while she rested her head against his chest, his arm acting as her pillow. The look on her face spoke of satisfaction, while her nightdress lay on the ground in tatters. Bad quality, perhaps. Julian woke up first, still in disbelief. What happened the night before was insane, and now Jessie was finally, truly his. A sense of responsibility filled him. He knew he had one more thing to protect now. He kissed her forehead gently as if leaving his imprint on her. The kiss woke Jessie up, and her eyelashes fluttered as she did. She stared at Julian like an innocent doe, then she buried her face in his chest. "You weren't this shy last night," he chuckled. "But it's broad daylight now. I can't do as I please, not when it's not dark." "Want to get up?" "Nah. I want to lie in your bed and sleep in until noon." Jessie was still exhausted. Julian drew the curtains shut, keeping the rays of sunshine out, and they went back to sleep. Eva woke up early in her apartment. There wasn't much work to do lately, so she asked a senior of hers out for tea. That veteran helped her out once, so Eva got her a gift. Eva had a good reputation in the industry thanks to how she treated people. She would remember all the favors everyone had done for her, and once she made it big, she would return them. The clock struck 2, and Eva left her home. She descended to the underground car park and got in her car, then left the complex. The moment her car left the car park, a black off-road vehicle with sturdy steel bars installed at the front tailed her. The driver of the off-road vehicle made a call to someone. "Tailing her right now." "Good. Do as I say, and you'll get paid handsomely." "I got it," the man answered. "This is my job, after all." Little did Eva know that she was tailed. It was to be expected since most people wouldn't be this paranoid. She made her way to the restaurant and stopped in front of a red light in a slightly remote area. It was then the off-road vehicle sped up and slammed into Eva's car. Eva's car flipped over and rolled twice before coming to a stop. She was hanging from her seat, unconscious. Her hair tumbled down to the car's base while blood trickled down her forehead that was slammed into the steering wheel. The man hopped out of his car and approached Eva, a knife in his hand. He hadn't been ordered to kill Eva. Instead, he was told to knock her out and slash her face. Indeed, he had received orders to disfigure her. Eva had no idea danger was closing in and that her beauty was in jeopardy. Fortunately, her guardian angels were looking out for her. A fire truck zipped by just in time. They had just returned from a firefighting mission and ran into this unfortunate event. A few firemen hopped off the truck, and the criminal tucked his knife away. He then put on a look of worry. "Quick, save her." The bonnet of Eva's car had oil leaking through it, and smoke billowed in the air. First, the firemen rescued Eva from the car, then they put out the smoke. Eva was then taken to the nearest hospital. At the same time, the criminal returned to his car and made a call. "I failed. I could have done it, but some firemen showed up." She escaped with nothing but a wound on her forehead. "What? I specifically told you to cut her face up. A forehead wound won't do anything." "I couldn't do anything. There were firemen around. I'm in trouble now. I need to settle it, so pay up." "Fine, but only a third of the money. We agreed to that, remember? Full sum only on job completion." "What? I almost killed someone because of you. I have the cash ready." "Come and take it," Lucy hissed. She wouldn't pay full price unless the job was completed. The criminal sped off to meet Lucy. At the same time, Eva was in the hospital for treatment. Half an hour later, the man came to the meeting spot where a red sports car stood. Before he got out of the car, he whipped out a knife and hid it behind his back. Lucy had just arrived not too long ago. She had the full sum in cash, but now she had to split it into 3 parts. Lucy opened up her trunk, and the sight of cash caused the criminal to be crazy. "Stupidly enough," Lucy said, "you're only getting a third of this." She then proceeded to take the money. However, the man held a knife against her throat. "I want all of it." "No way." Lucy needed money as well. She had gone to lengths just to withdraw all the money she had for this sabotage. "He failed, yet he expects to get all the money from me?" She wouldn't agree to it, obviously, but she did another stupid thing. She fought back. Lucy kicked the man, and it made him snap. His greed took over, and he slit her neck open. Blood spurted from her wound, and Lucy fell to the ground. The man promptly took all the money and hurried back to his car. "I have to get out of here." Then he escaped. A couple was just walking by. The girl was holding her boyfriend's arm, and when she noticed Lucy, she screamed. It made her boyfriend jolt. When he saw Lucy lying in a pool of blood, he too lost his cool, but he quickly whipped out his phone and, with trembling hands, called 911. The cops arrived first. It didn't take long for them to identify who the victim was. Her ID and driver's license were in her bag, after all. Lucy's father got a call soon enough, and it was the bearer of bad news. His daughter had died. What? Who are you? Are you trying to make me angry? Because you're doing a great job right now. My daughter's fine. I am a cop, Cornelius. This is not a joke. I need you to come here right now. Not too long after the cops called the Constantines, the ambulance arrived. There was no need for the doctors to do anything, however. Lucy's artery had been cut and she had bled to death. At the same time, another lady was also in the ER, Iva. Eva's parents had divorced. Her father died while her mother remarried a foreigner, hence the cops called her manager to let her know what was going on. Sarah was in disbelief, but then she called Louis. Louis set aside all his work immediately and sped to the hospital. Louis tried to barge into the emergency room, but a nurse stopped him. Sir, the patient is still under medical attention. Please, wait outside. Do not disturb the doctors. Louis's heart sank. She was fine this morning. What happened? Why is she hurt? What happened? Why did she go out all by herself? Did you find the perpetrator? Sarah was worried as well. She shook her head. I came as soon as I got the cops' call. I haven't had time to ask about the details of the accident. That had to wait as nothing was more important than Eva. At the same time, another tragedy was unfolding. The Constantines rushed all the way to the crime scene. They couldn't believe their daughter was dead, but when they saw their daughter's corpse lying on the street, both of them almost passed out. However, what they couldn't accept even more was why Lucy died. We looked into her transaction record. She withdrew a huge sum of money a couple of days ago. We suspect that this is linked to her death. You have to find the murderer. I don't care how much it costs. Give her the justice she deserves, Cornelius said tearfully. It's a shame. She could have gotten married to Louis and helped the family immensely, but now she's dead. The marriage is annulled. It was a double whammy for the Constantines. Fiona was on her knees, crying her heart out. My girl. Why? Why did you leave us? She almost passed out. Eva was nearly dead when she was sent to the hospital. Fortunately, the doctors worked their best, and her heart was finally beating as normal. A sliver of color had returned to her otherwise pallid face. The operation was a success. The moment the doctors emerged from the emergency room, someone hurried up to them. How did it go, doctor? The operation is a success. She's stable, but we'll have to keep her under observation in the ward. Louis heaved a sigh of relief as he felt a weight lifted off his shoulder. Eva was everything to him. It would be devastating if the woman he had loved for so long were to die. Thank God she's still alive. A while later, someone pushed Eva out of the emergency room. Her forehead was covered in layers of bandages, and she was wearing blue hospital scrubs. Louis thought she looked fragile. It was as if she could break into 1,000 pieces at any moment. It made his heart ache. He followed the nurse to the ward, then he carried her and placed her on the bed himself. He let the nurses set up the 4 infusion and machines before he approached her. Louis held her hand softly, and he kissed her palm. Sarah was shedding tears. She said, I'll leave her to you, sir. This accident requires my attention. Something tells me there's more to it than it seems. Go. Louis nodded. Sarah left. All that could be heard in the ward were the beeps of the machines. In the silence, tears welled up in Louis's eyes. He wished it was him, not Eva, who had to endure this. Meanwhile, fury and sorrow enveloped the Constantines. They were helping the cops out with the case. "Officer, you must arrest the murderer. My daughter deserves justice." "I know. We're looking into it as best as we can." Besides the death of Lucy, Cornelius was also worried about something else. The terms of the arranged marriage clearly stated it would be void should either party were to pass away. Sarah was also helping with the investigation of Eva's car crash. She was going through the footage of the accident. Eva was driving carefully in the footage and did not break any traffic laws, but then a black off-road vehicle sped up and crashed into her car. Eva's car spun 2 times before it came to a halt. The mere sight of it almost made Sarah's heart stop. Why did he do that? He could have killed Eva. What did Eva ever do to him? "We're looking into Eva's network, and we need your help." "Do you know this man?" The man was dressed in black and wearing a mask. All Sarah managed to see were his eyes and nothing else. She took a closer look and shook her head. "I have never seen him before, and Eva won't even get near anyone shady. She tries to live a quiet life, and I'm the one handling the business side of things." "Does she have a boyfriend?" "Yes. Our boss, Mr. Louis Gilmore. He loves her deeply." "I see. We'll need his testimonial as well." "All right. I'll tell him about it. He'll be here as soon as possible." Another officer came in. He told the questioning officer, "Lucy's death has something to do with this guy as well." "Lucy? As in Lucy Constantine? What happened to her?" Sarah asked out of curiosity. She and Eva talked about Lucy once, and she wanted to know what happened. "Lucy Constantine was murdered earlier. 3 in the afternoon." "What? That's unbelievable." Sarah was shocked. "Lucy is Mr. Gilmore's fiancée, but now she's dead?" Sarah hurried to the hospital right after she left the police station. Eva was still unconscious. Sarah told Louis he had to make the police station trip the next day, and she also told him about Lucy's death. A frown creased Louis's forehead. "Are you sure it's her?" "The cops told me it's her." "I don't think they were lying." "Didn't anyone tell you, sir?" "The Constantines haven't, no." Louis shook his head. "Why haven't they told me anything? Are they suspecting something? And why did Lucy die all of a sudden?" "They say she was murdered," Sarah spoke with fear in her voice. "Did someone take their revenge on her?" "I'm not sure. I'll have to wait for the Constantines to contact me." Louis wouldn't look into this himself. Cornelius was having his testimonial taken at the police station. The cop asked, "Did Miss Constantine contact anyone lately? Has your family been at odds with anyone lately?" That reminded Cornelius of a certain person, and fury welled up within him. "Yes. He's my daughter's fiancé. It's an arranged marriage, but he refuses to go through with it because he fell for another woman. I think he's the one who murdered my daughter." "What's his name? And his job?" "Louis Gilmore, the president of Stardom. I've signed a contract with his parents regarding the arranged marriage, where the terms state that should he not go through with the marriage, he must give 20% of his company's shares to me. It's a huge sum of money. I have reason to believe he killed my daughter." Even Cornelius talked himself into believing this line of reasoning. Louis powerful enough. He can do anything for that woman. "I see. We shall be interrogating him." The cop held a photo up. "Do you know this person?" "No, we went through your daughter's call history. The last 2 calls she made were directed to this person. His name is Zach Lohr. He's a drifter and an ex-convict. My daughter would never get involved with someone like him." The cops recorded his testimonial and told the Constantines to go home and wait for the news. Julian and Jessie came to the hospital right after they received Louis's call. They too were worried about Eva, who was still unconscious and pale as a ghost. Tears welled up in Jessie's eyes. "Did you find out who did this?" Julian was furious. Louis went through a lot for this relationship. Just when he finally got to date Eva, she got into this accident. The cops are still investigating. Their suspect is a masked man, Sarah answered. Just then, Louis's phone rang. He quickly picked it up. "Who's this?" "Louis Gilmore? We're the cops. We suspect that you're involved in a murder and will need you to come to the police station in 30 minutes. Is this about Lucy Constantine?" "Yes. I'll be there right away. I expected this. The Constantines do have reason to suspect me. Julian, you and Jessie stay here. Call me when Eva wakes up. I need to deal with something." "Is Lucy really dead?" Julian asked, worried. "And the Constantines think Louis did it?" "I need to be at the police station." Louis nodded. Louis was in an interrogation room. Unlike most people, he was calm and collected. "Mr. Gilmore, we're looking into the case of Lucy Constantine's murder. Her family said there's a conflict of interest between you and them. Did you murder her?" "No. I've never gotten that idea. Sources told us you refused to go through with the arranged marriage because you have a girlfriend. Is your girlfriend Eva Duncan?" "Yes," Louis answered all the questions honestly, though it didn't help his case. He still was the prime suspect, and he was prohibited from traveling abroad. Eva was starting to stir, at long last. She opened her eyes only for the light overhead to blind her, causing her to groan. "Where am I?" "The hospital, Eva. You got into a car crash, remember?" Jessie said softly. Eva closed her eyes. The memory of that car crash still made her head split. She had to hold Jessie's hand just to overcome her fear of that accident. When she opened her eyes again, she saw everyone who was in the ward. But he wasn't there. Why isn't he here? She was a little disappointed. "Eva, Mr. Gilmore watched over you the whole afternoon. He has something urgent to settle, but he'll be back soon." "What's the business?" "Lucy Constantine's murder," Sarah answered. "What?" Eva almost sat up from the shock. "She's dead? Who killed her?" Eva felt as if her head just exploded. "The cops are still looking into it. Mr. Gilmore is having his testimonial recorded, but we know he's innocent." "Don't worry," Sarah answered honestly. Eva was someone who'd rather hear the hurtful truth than be lied to. Eva looked at Julian. Julian said, "Don't worry. I know Louis. He wouldn't risk his future for this, not when he's planning on spending his whole life with you." Eva clutched her chest, and Sarah asked the doctor to check on her. The doctor immediately obliged. "Nothing too serious, but we need to observe her to see if the concussion has any lasting impact." A short while later, Louis strode into the ward. To his delight, he found Eva already awake. "Oh, you're awake."
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.